Over 1 million people watched videos about Cleopatra's DNA last year, and yet her body has never been found. There is no tomb, no remains, no sample. Every single one of those videos told you her DNA had been analyzed anyway. Right now, 13 meters underground on the Egyptian coast, Kathleen Martinez is still looking for the answer. She's been digging for 18 years. Nobody has reached that chamber yet. So what were they actually analyzing? And who was the real woman underneath all of it?
The titles follow a pattern. Scientists have finally analyzed Cleopatra's DNA. Her genome reveals a shocking truth. Everything Hollywood told you was a lie. Different channels, different thumbnails, same structure, same promise. And for a while, it works. The clicks come, the comments pile up. People share the videos with the caption, "You need to see this." But then someone in the comments writes something that doesn't go away. How can they know her DNA if she hasn't even been found? Thousands of likes, no reply. Because there is no good reply.
Cleopatra VII died in August 30 BC. Not one confirmed piece of her remains has ever been recovered. No skull, no femur, no tooth. The promise of analyzed DNA assumes something exists that doesn't. So the question isn't just what those videos got wrong, it's how the promise was built to look real in the first place.
Since 2005, Kathleen Martinez, a Dominican lawyer turned archaeologist, has been digging at a temple site called Osiris Magna, about 45 kilometers west of Alexandria. Her theory is specific. Cleopatra didn't choose the royal necropolis. She chose a temple dedicated to Isis, the goddess she claimed to embody in life. If she was going to be buried anywhere, Martinez believes, it was here. In 2022, her team broke through to something nobody expected: a tunnel 13 meters underground, carved through solid bedrock, running for 1,305 meters toward the Mediterranean coast. Egyptian authorities called it a geometric miracle.
Inside, they found 16 mummies with golden tongues, placed there so the dead could speak to Osiris in the afterlife. These weren't ordinary people. They were courtiers, attendants, possibly the last people who ever served Cleopatra directly. A journalist asked Martinez how close she was to the tomb. "Very close," she said. "I can feel it." That was 2022. She's been saying some version of that for 18 years. The tomb is still sealed, still unfound. And without the tomb, there is no body. Without a body, there is no sample. Without a sample, there is no DNA, which means every video that promised you her genome had already been decoded was built on something that doesn't exist. And yet, someone found evidence. The question is what they actually found. In 1904, Austrian archaeologists excavating in Ephesus, modern-day Turkey, found a small octagonal tomb. Inside was a skeleton. A young woman, they said. Roughly the right period. For 70 years, nothing. Then, in the 1990s, a theory emerged that changed everything. This could be Arsinoe IV, Cleopatra's younger sister, the one Mark Antony had executed on the steps of the Temple of Artemis in 41 BC to please Cleopatra. If it was Arsinoe, her DNA could tell you something enormous, because she shared a mother with Cleopatra, and nobody knows who that mother was. Egyptian, Greek, African? The identity of Cleopatra's mother is one of the most debated gaps in ancient history. In 2009, a BBC documentary announced the results. The skeleton, the narrator declared, shows maternal ancestry consistent with sub-Saharan African origin. The internet did not take this calmly. Cleopatra was black. Cleopatra wasn't black. Historians against historians. Comment sections against comment sections. The debate ran for 15 years, and every single argument on both sides was built on this one skeleton, in this one octagonal tomb. Then, in 2025, you find out what that skeleton actually was. New analysis, new team, different conclusions. The skeleton wasn't Arsinoe. It wasn't even female. It was a boy between 11 and 14 years old, with developmental abnormalities and genetic markers pointing to origins in Italy, specifically Sardinia. The whole argument gone. 15 years of debate, hundreds of articles, documentaries, books, YouTube videos still online right now, claiming Arsinoe proved proves Cleopatra's ancestry, all of it anchored to a child from Sardinia who died 2,000 years ago and had nothing to do with any of this. So if the skeleton isn't arsinoe and Cleopatra's body was never found, where does the famous statistic come from? You've heard it before. The claim goes like this: Cleopatra was 45% inbred. The Ptolemaic dynasty was so genetically compromised that she was practically deformed. Bulging eyes, swollen neck, Graves' disease. Every video says it. Nobody explains where it comes from. It doesn't come from DNA. There is no DNA. It comes from a spreadsheet. Historians took the recorded genealogy of the Ptolemaic dynasty, 300 years of documented brother-sister marriages, uncle-niece marriages, cousin marriages, 14 generations of it, and ran the coefficient of inbreeding backwards through the family tree. It's called the coefficient of consanguinity. It's real math. It's legitimate historical inference, but it is not a genome. It's not a sequence. It's not analysis of anything physical. It's a probability calculation based on paperwork. You can see the difference, right? One is science. The other is science-shaped, and the titles have been selling you the shape. Then there's the Graves' disease theory. A researcher published a paper arguing Cleopatra showed symptoms of thyroid disease. The evidence? The coins, he wrote, show a visible enlargement of the neck, consistent with goiter, a common symptom of Graves' disease. The coins he was describing weren't Cleopatra's. They belonged to her mother-in-law. Not Cleopatra's neck, not Cleopatra's coins, not Cleopatra's disease. That's the foundation. That's what 1 million clicks were built on. There is one source that got closer to her than any DNA test ever could, and he describes something nobody talks about. His name was Plutarch, a Greek historian writing about a century after her death, drawing on sources who had actually met her. And what he described has almost nothing to do with what you've been watching. Cleopatra VII was born around 69 BC, Macedonian Greek by father, Ptolemy XII, direct descendant of one of Alexander the Great's generals. Her mother is unknown, officially unknown, which means Egyptian or African ancestry on the maternal side is possible. Not confirmed, not denied, open. She was the first ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty in nearly 300 years to learn Egyptian. Every one of her ancestors ruled Egypt in Greek. She learned Egyptian because she chose to. Plutarch documented 9 languages she spoke fluently: Greek, Egyptian, Ethiopian, the language of the troglodytes, Hebrew, Arabic, Syriac, Median, and Parthian. The coins minted during her reign, approved by her, not by Hollywood, show a woman with a prominent nose, a strong chin, deep-set eyes, not the face Elizabeth Taylor gave her, not the face Netflix gave her actual face, the one she chose to put on munnel. But it's what Plutarch wrote about the moment men sat across from her that no one seems to quote. Not the way she looked, the way she sounded. Her tongue, he writes, like an instrument of many strings, she could readily turn to whatever language she pleased, shift languages, in the middle of a sentence, without pausing, without effort. And the men across the table, Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, foreign ambassadors, would lose their footing, not seduced by a face, outpaced by a mind they couldn't follow. That's the woman the DNA titles were promising you, and she's still out there, somewhere under the sand.
Kathleen Martinez still hasn't found the chamber. When she does, the DNA will finally tell a story worth telling. But anyone who told you it's already been told was selling you something. Here's what stays with me. Rome spent centuries turning Cleopatra into a story that made their conquest look righteous. In their version, she wasn't a strategist who outmaneuvered 2 of the most powerful men alive. She was a seductress, a schemer, a dangerous foreign queen who used her body because she had nothing else. That version stuck for 2,000 years. And now, when we finally have the tools to look past it, the archaeology, the primary sources, the coins she approved herself, what we're building on top of Rome's version is another version. A version where she's a genetic curiosity, a DNA mystery, a shocking truth waiting to be decoded. She keeps disappearing under the shape of what each era needs her to be. The real woman, the one who chose Egyptian when nobody expected her to, who put her own face on coins because she knew what happens when you let other people draw you, who chose her own death because she knew what Octavian was going to do with her body if she didn't. That woman is still under the sand at Taposaurus Magna, or somewhere. And every video that promises her DNA has already been decoded is one more layer of sand on top of her. Her full story doesn't fit in 10 minutes. If you want to go deeper, subscribe to Audible, link in the description. She's still there, waiting. And when we finally reach her, we should probably arrive with the honesty that she deserved the first time. Subscribe and leave a like. It helps more than you think.